Hello and welcome to News Across Nigeria, the program that tells you what's happening now across the Nigerian Federation. I'm Olumide Macaulay on the program today. Government moves to create awareness about Lassa fever. There's been a suspected outbreak there. The Ondo State Governor advises President Muhammadu Buhari on the Bayelsa State governorship elections that are to be rescheduled in Ijaw local government area and other local government areas. And the deplorable state of the Port Harcourt Road. Welcome to News Across Nigeria. Once again, it's good to have you with us. We seek to show and tell you what's happening across the Nigerian Federation. And one story that has been in the news is the arrival of the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Ms. Christine Lagarde, who's been on a 4-day visit to the country. And in continuation of her visit, she's meeting with leaders of the National Assembly. Although the lawmakers are currently on recess, Senate President Bukola Saraki made out time to meet with the IMF boss and the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, Senator John Eno, and of Appropriation, Senator Danjuma Goje, were also at that meeting. The Senate President told the IMF boss that Nigeria is experiencing challenging times due to low oil prices and insurgency in the northeast. He also said Nigeria is resilient and will surmount these challenges. Senator Saraki told his guests that the National Assembly has a key role to play in ensuring that the government policies are sustainable. Ms. Lagarde, in her response to the lawmakers, said that Nigeria has some tough choices to make and that time is of the essence. Another story making the rounds that we have for you is the Federal Executive Council meeting, which says it's perfecting strategy towards plugging leakages in the federal ministries, departments, and agencies. This is not unrelated to the financial measures that President Muhammadu Buhari was talking about, also surrounding the IMF boss's visit to the country. Now, briefing State House correspondents after the council meeting presided over by the president himself, the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, says the strategy, which was the only item at the first meeting of the Federal Executive Council this year, aims at fiscal growth of the economy. Mrs. Adeosun decries a situation where many agencies or governments, parastatals, don't remit revenues to the Federation account. She says, henceforth, MDAs must submit a budget which must be approved by the government to ensure that public monies in public agencies are well spent. She says that the objective is to ensure that every naira of government is also well utilized. The council observed that in the past, MDAs spent money without any sort of control. Now, the Minister of Finance also denied reports that the federal government has withdrawn the budget. And now to Rivers State, where in the south-south, the state government says Lassa fever has killed a nursing mother and her 2-week-old baby in Port Harcourt. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Theophilus Adame, says the incident happened between December the 30th, 2015 and January the 1st, 2016. He says a series of tests were conducted on the bodies of the mother and child to confirm that they both died of the disease. He advised residents of the state to ensure that they keep their environments clean. And from there, staying with the Lassa fever situation, it began to be well noised in Port Harcourt, in Taraba State, in the northeastern part of the country, where the Taraba State government is appealing to residents not to be afraid to go to hospitals to receive treatment if they have any symptoms related to the Lassa fever disease. The notice is coming as health workers have been deployed across Taraba State to educate residents about the symptoms and ways of preventing the disease.
Since the discovery of what is suspected to be Lassa fever disease in Taraba State in December last year, there has been apprehension among citizens on how and where the disease that broke out 4 years ago resurfaced. This has prompted the state government to embark on a facility tour of the Federal Medical Center, Jalingo, the Taraba State capital. The Commissioner for Health is taken round the wards to see the state of the facilities and how the hospital is handling the cases of suspected victims. He assures residents that the state will do all it can to reduce the risk.
We will do our best to reassure the general public that we have adequate provisions for treatment. We have provided isolation facilities, so the general public should not fear coming to the hospital for other medical conditions. Lassa fever is a treatable condition. We only urge the general public to try, those who are sick to try and report to the hospital as early as possible.
While asking the citizens to be calm, the medical director insists that the cases they have not been confirmed until the blood samples are out.
I want to use this medium to call upon the public not to panic. You can only contract Lassa fever through blood and blood products, not by handshake, not by hugging. And even the Federal Medical Center that are managing the patient, please and please, we are urging people that are sick, you can still attend the hospital to seek care. There's no fear that you are going to contract Lassa fever just by visiting the hospital.
As the state awaits the results of the blood samples taken for verification, health workers have been deployed to the rural areas to educate citizens on the symptoms and ways of preventing the disease, which is mainly contacted from rodents.
And now we'll be speaking with an epidemiologist in Taraba State, a doctor, Dr. Musa Obadiah, who will be telling us what he knows about the current situation and what it portends. Hello, doctor.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on News Across Nigeria. Now,
Thank you.
Lassa fever, what do you understand is the position now concerning whether or not those people that died were as a result of the disease?
Well, certainly we cannot say for sure whether it's the result of the disease, but the clinical signs and symptoms is suggestive of the disease. We can only say with high degree of certainty when we receive the laboratory confirmation from Arewa, where is a specialized center for analyzing some of the specimens. So the results have not been sent to the state yet. As soon as we get them, then we can confirm whether it is Lassa fever or not. But from clinical point of view, we can say that it is suggestive of Lassa fever.
Now, if it is so, what steps further need to be taken to forestall any sort of epidemic, which is your field of expertise?
Yeah, the first and foremost, clinical cases that are brought to the hospital will receive what we call barrier nursing, so that they will limit the number of people coming to the patients, so that they are not contaminated through their body fluids, their feces, urine, and other body fluids, which could contain the virus. And then they would now transfer them to susceptible population. Secondly, their households the contact needs to be examined, and then the environment tidied up, and specimens collected from the foodstuff and water for further analysis. And then third preventive measure is to educate the general public about personal hygiene, environmental hygiene, and care of the food that they take, whether drinks or food. It should be properly protected, well cooked, and preserved, so that will reduce the transmission of the disease.
Finally, correct me if I'm wrong, but a principal host of the disease is vermin, yes, and Taraba recently suffered an outbreak. So what do you think is the failure that this occurred again? Hygiene?
Yeah, hygiene is a principal aspect, and secondly, some are like carriers, and certainly they may not manifest the disease and be in a position to transmit it. Secondly, we're living in a global world. There is a high level of human traffic. It can be an imported case from a neighboring state, or we can also export to other states. Probably at the time they are coming to the state, it's not in the clinical stage, it's what we call prodromal stage. It is here that they will start manifesting and then begin to spread. So public education is very important in this, in the control of the disease. And even the states where it had occurred before, they're still recurring as long as the hygiene nature is not highly improved.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Dr.
Thank
Musa
you very much.
Obadiah, an epidemiologist stationed in Taraba State, giving us some information about the disease, and we certainly hope those tests come back negative. You're watching News Across Nigeria. When we come back, Governor Mimiko of Ondo State says that the governorship rerun elections to be held on Saturday in Bayelsa State should be credible, free, and fair. Please stay with us.